Hey everyone, Crisis here. Today I've got something for you that'll be very different than what you guys may be used to on this channel. So if you guys didn't know, I'm actually friends with the guys over at Key Issues, helping them out with videos from time to time. Seeing as it's Key Issues bread and butter, we end up talking a lot about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Extended Universe, be it the quality of the films, the continuity, or the power scaling within the verses. So, between myself, the guys at Key Issues, and some of our friends on Discord, we had an idea, that being, what if the MCU and the DCEU shared a continuity? A similar idea to what Marvel and DC portrayed in their JLA/Avengers crossover event. To clarify, this will not be akin to the Amalgamverse, where Marvel and DC characters had their respective histories merged, forming a new character out of aspects of the two. Rather, it will be as if the events from both of the canon universes' histories occurred throughout one timeline. To be clear, I will be taking some liberties with the established lore, seeing as the goal of this What If is to ultimately provide an entertaining fusion of what people love about each of these respective cinematic universes. With that said, and to avoid spoilers of events in this What If, let's just cut to the chase. Welcome to What If the MCU and DCEU were in the same universe.
Jarvis, drop my needle.
Oh, let's break it.
Welcome to the universe. For a time, there exists only an infinite darkness, a cold blanket to shadow the Dark Elves. These beings sought to conquer this endless expanse until, miraculously, light entered the universe. From this phenomenon, the Dark Elves would be forced to retreat to their home planet of Svartalheim, as light was unto a poison to these creatures of darkness. They would bide their time there, hoping to one day reclaim their position as the rightful owners of the universe. At around this time, the primordial planet that would be known as Earth would be gifted by a meteorite made of the super metal vibranium, an element that humanity would come to use to great effect in the future. Elsewhere in the universe, a member of the Celestials, ancient beings known to wield great power, Ego was born. Seemingly from nowhere, Ego was granted sentience and came to harness the great power source known as the Light. Millions of years into the future, acting under his compulsion to harvest life unto himself, Ego begins planting his seed throughout innumerable galaxies. Ego one day arrives on the planet that would be known as Krypton. Perhaps, due to the innate potential for great power already present within the planet's populace, Ego's seed, rather than creating a mundane member of its species, as had always happened before, it creates a great deformity of horrible power. After a lengthy and terrible war against the creature, Krypton still stood, but was shaken. The devastation that this creature rendered, the least of which being his shattering of one of Krypton's moons, would be remembered for eons to come, with Krypton's High Council declaring that none will ever give life to a deformity so hateful to sight and memory, decreeing that Kryptonian DNA would never be tampered with or intermingled in such a way. These events would inspire Krypton's great care as to its people's genetic destiny, as well as its desire to expand past its galactic territories, now having the knowledge of alien life. Back on the humble world of Earth, the chief deity of the Greek gods, entities possessing great control over the fundamental natures of reality, breathes life into beings known as the human race. Many light years away, Kryptonians have mastered interstellar travel and have begun what will be known as the Great Expansion. Nearly 80,000 years later, the fates of Krypton and the planet Earth become forever intertwined when Kara Zor-El, as a part of the Great Expanse, crashes on Earth, making her way onto the planet, leaving her scout ship behind to then be frozen over within the Arctic glaciers over the following centuries. 16,000 years after that, the being known as the Enchantress would be born into the world. In the year 2988 BC, the Dark Elves finally begin the first of their attempted conquests, hoping to use the Reality Stone, in conjunction with the alignments of the 9 planetary bodies of the Yggdrasil, to cast these realms into darkness. The Norse god Bor prevents this assault, defeating the leader of the Dark Elves, Malekith, and hiding the Aether in a place unknown to all of the 9 realms. A mere 5 years after this, the peoples of Earth were met with their own attempted takeover by the new god Steppenwolf, being met by the Atlanteans, the Amazons, the tribes of men, a Green Lantern known as Yalan Gur, the current Black Panther and Wakandans, and 3 of the old gods, Artemis, Ares, and Zeus. This combined defense force was successful in thwarting Steppenwolf's invasion of the Earth, with the new god retreating in shame. Sometime after this, Odin and his firstborn daughter Hela begin a reign of conquest across the 9 realms. In the year 1000 BC, the Greek god of war, Ares, begins to sow the seeds of conflict throughout mankind, as strife is what fuels his power. The queen of the Amazons, Hippolyta, strives to free mankind from Ares' influence. Ares' thirst for endless death and struggle leads him to attack and kill his fellow deities, only being stopped and imprisoned by Zeus. With his dying breath, the Grecian Allfather manifests the island of Themyscira, and then coats it in a dome of invisibility, as to keep it safe if Ares were to ever regain his power. With the Greek gods, aside Ares, now dead, and with the Themyscirans reduced to recluses, hidden from and never interacting with the outside world, Odin and Hela conquer Earth, sans Themyscira, which they are unable to sense or detect. Much unto Ares' lust for combat, Hela sought endless conquest, seeing it as her place to rule all she saw under her. In reaction and revelation, Odin sealed Hela in the realm of Hel, a region of Niflheim, now knowing his place as Allfather was to protect and ensure peace throughout the 9 realms, rather than battle and subjugation. Soon after this, Odin battled the fire demon Surtur, who saw it as his destiny to destroy Asgard, thus causing Ragnarok. In the year 971 BC, the Council of Wizards, seeking a champion among mortals to defend the realms against the 7 deadly sins, they imbued the power of the old gods into the man known as Black Adam. In rebellion to the wizards, Black Adam released the sins into the world, killing 5 of the 7 wizards, until the wizard Shazam and the woman known only as the Ancient One combined their magical powers to seal Black Adam and the sins away. In the wake of this failure of judgment and chaotic misuse of magical powers, the Ancient One separates from her fellow wizard, now hoping to pass on the powers of magic to only those worthy to wield them. She would construct Kamar-Taj, where she would rigorously vet and train those seeking to wield the fundamental powers of the universe. 6 years later, having taken up the burden of protecting the Earth from the Norse gods, Odin defends the planet from the Frost Giants. The forces of Asgard push the Jotuns back to their homeworld of Jotunheim. This battle, however, costing Odin one of his eyes. After defeating the Frost Giant King, Laufey, and commandeering the power source of the Frost Giants, the Cask of Ancient Winters, Odin finds an abandoned Jotun infant that he would take and raise as his own. In the underwater continent of Atlantis, the scientists, to thank for their highly advanced civilization therein, would experiment on the powerful weapon known as Atlan's Trident, a weapon crafted from the steel of Poseidon, thus being imbued with the power of said old god. The tampering with this device would prove chaotic, costing Atlantis its great technologies, and sinking the continent into the ocean's depths. The survivors of this great calamity would become highly territorial, creating borders and boundaries throughout the land, and in time, growing very wary of those who dwelled on the surface. From the 1400s to the 1930s, Odin would hide the Tesseract, a housing unit for the Space Stone, in Norway, where he defended the realm long ago. The great-grandfather of Ulysses Klaue was killed in battle against the then Black Panther of Wakanda, and in 1914, Ares fans the flames of World War I in an attempt to regain his godly status and power. Unfortunately for him, this conflict wouldn't prove enough to grant him such energy, Thus, taking the form of an avatar named Johann Schmidt, he would seek the Infinity Stone hidden in Norway, hoping to harness its power to create a greater conflict than the world had ever known. And with that, we've come to the end of part 1 of this What If. Nothing too crazy yet, but you guys get a hint of the crossover potential of the two verses. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join me next time for Phase 1 of the MCU DCEU Shared Universe.